Hey everyone, and welcome back to my class picking guides. The goal of these videos is a quick overview of the playstyle of each class rather than a comprehensive class guide. For this video, we'll be looking at the Hermit class, a mage specialization which turns into a Zedic when you complete your third job. Hermit is the last class I have to cover for the initial release of Bang Go. There's 6 specializations. Now Thief will come later, but I'm not going to cover Thief for a while because, well, there's no point because you won't be able to play it right away. Hermit plays differently to CJB by focusing on damage and especially AoE damage. While Hermit does have a couple support skills, it's not a big part of the kit. Just a quick note for any new people interested in Hermit, it can be challenging to build skill-wise as you only have so many skill points and Hermit has so many potential skills. I'd highly recommend asking for skill builds from experienced players. If you are new though and you focus a challenge, and there is quite a lot of depth to Hermits, it has quite a high skill set to get the most out of it, so you could give it a go. I plan to give all classes a rating out of 5 for their difficulty to play in PvE and in PvP. This is strictly in comparison to each other, and I'm not saying they're easy or hard compared to other games, and it is of course my opinion. So we're going to look at PvE, and I'm going to give Hermit a 5 out of 5, and in PvP a 4.5 out of 5. So Hermit, perhaps more than other classes, has a variety of different ways to play. In fact, if you wanted to, you can join certain physical attacker parties provided they're not fighting the actual highest level mobs that they can, because you could unlock a perfect party, which requires you to have every one of the specializations currently available in the game, so that'll be 6 on launch, and then when the thieves are added, that's going to be 8. But perfect party aside, it still seems very unlikely you're going to be joining physical attackers in too many parties, and what's more likely is you're going to be with either a group of mages or on your own. So that's where I've given it the 5 difficulty rating, because I do think especially solo, when you're pulling your own pack of mobs, I think there is difficulty to that. You can mess that up very easily. Mage is very squishy. You can get that wrong very fast. So I do think there is like quite a lot of like extra work that goes into that. So that's why I've given it a 5. I know it's a bit of a stretch, but ultimately nothing is like crazy hard in the game, and like I said, they're only compared to each other, and other classes are very easy. So that's why I've given it a 5, just because of the diversity of the play styles that you can have, the diversity of the skills to use, and of course the danger when it comes to solo luring mobs. So the 4.5 difficulty rating in PvP I've given simply because mages, first off, it's squishy, so that's never helpful in PvP, but also because you do have a variety of skills and kit to use. So I think that whenever you have to cycle through a lot of different abilities, you have to be choosing when you're going to use different things. There's a lot of really interesting skills in the mage or the hermit kit that makes it, I think, kind of more difficult on average than a class with a more streamlined, more obvious skill rotation. So that's why I've given it a 4.5 out of 5. I do think you're such an important class in large-scale PvP because of the AoE CC and the AoE damage. That's why I think it's actually worth giving it a higher score here for difficulty. Hermits continue the magic school themes that they get early on, although unfortunately you don't gain any offensive abilities very early at level 50. Although that being said, you'll likely be continuing, if you've already started, farming Dungeon 1 with other mages by splashing whole rooms, as this is by far the most efficient XP, money as well, and egg XP. Although you could do some solo stuff outside D1. This is all before Dungeon 3 is out, so if you're watching this quite late in the server, things might have changed, but on Bang Go's release, you won't have that. Although you do get Refining Weapon, a new buff that provides you and your allies an increased physical or magic damage buff. This is very good, and definitely a support buff that you want to train into. I would argue the next major milestone for Hermit is Ice Restriction, a ranged forward cone AoE slow, which is a big improvement over killing a lure of mobs compared to splashy ice. However, staying in the ice theme for a second here, for PvP you also get Cold Binding. It's a really useful AoE CC that entraps anyone in your range in an ice tomb. As you continue to push levels, there are a few interesting skills. Thunder is the improved lightning summons. Chain lightning is something you might, and some might, want, especially when your third job, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. 65 is a huge level for Hermits. This is where you unlock your storms: Lightning Storm, Ice Storm, Firestorm. You'll need to be careful with your skill point investments, and you'll have needed to unlock all the skill points from quests to make sure you get all 3 of these storms. Storms are not only massive for PvE gameplay, but also for PvP, as Hermits gain even more dominance over large-scale PvP. Storms are very powerful damage output, or alternatively can act as area denial, which can be critical in a large-scale fight. They are relatively long cooldown though, so you need to use them wisely in PvP. A quick note on third job and Azedic. Azedic gets magic intensification, a temporary buff which finally allows it to hit higher level monsters, opening up all kinds of interesting options and boss damage for the first time. New skills at 70 for each magic damage type come in the forms of 3 powerful AoEs, Flame Injection, Icicle, and Lightning Arrow. Of these 3, Lightning Arrow opens up totally new playstyles, which I'll be honest, I can't easily get that much footage of it. I'm just kind of filming this on my own on the test server. At level 75 though, these skills open to uber powerful single target abilities, Fireball, Ice Arrow, and Thunderbolt. That wraps that up. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you plan to play Hermit, and I'll see you on the next video.